Alright, we're back with another one, and first of all, I want to wish you all a happy new year, and I hope that 2025 is going to be good to you. I've covered this Warden build in the past, so I'm leaving a screenshot right now, and you can see the build ID there as well. Sharik is one of the best Warden players, and I just love covering his replays, and 89% of you are not subscribed, so make sure to fix that, and let's hit that 40k. Playing quite aggressively into a Dynamo Ivy. I think this matchup is winnable for us. I mean, he's laning with a Lash as well. We have the ground pound to poke with. He has his grenade. Ivy is not super strong in lane early on. The main thing that we need to watch out for really is the Dynamo Stomp, the one that knocks you up into the air. That's the only thing that can really zone us, but in general, we do have more damage than them, and we have a better comp, so let's see how it plays out. First things first, he's just focusing the wave, making sure to get the farm going. We're trying to get a push towards their side, and then we can try to poke as much as we can. We can use the cage as a zoning tool. We use the flask to zone as well and to deal a bit of poke damage. Ivy is already quite low, and remember that Warden's gun shoots quite slow, but it does a lot of damage. Also gives you more fire rate the more spirit you have, which is quite nice. Goes for ammo scav first. I mean, getting some spirit stacks up is super nice. You can get so much spirit with ammo scav early on for the value of the item. You also get more movement speed, you get more bullets in your mag, and whenever you secure a soul, it refunds a bit of ammo so you can keep going. Yeah, notice how he's not going all in onto the enemy team here. He values farming much more, and that's something that I just want people to focus more on in lane. I mean, high elo players, they know this already, but a lot of people just tend to fight a lot in lane. They don't value the wave as much, and to be honest, the waves are worth more gold than kills early on. The only reason why you would want to kill is to push somebody back to base or to just make them lose a bit of farm. Goes for Hollow Point Ward next. I mean, we get 95 Spirit Shield, and when we have a certain HP threshold, we have a lot of weapon damage. When you're above 65% HP, you get... how much is it? You get 20% extra weapon damage, so yeah, it's super much early on, and again, Warden's bullets just do so much damage. That's kind of how they compensate the low fire rate, so remember that you sort of have to lead your shots whenever you're shooting at a bit of a longer range. Goes for high velocity mag there. That helps Warden farm so much. I mean, it is actually quite hard to farm with Warden. In a duo lane, it's fine to not go high velocity mag, but if you're ever solo laning on Warden, try to get this item first, because that bullet velocity is going to help you farm so much easier. It is very common on Warden to get denied. I'm sure most of you have experienced it on Warden, where sometimes, yeah, the opponent's just getting all the denies, and that is really because of your slow bullet speed. Warden works really well in both a duo and a solo lane. There's a lot of insane Warden combos in a duo lane. I mean, Warden Bebop is crazy. Warden Vindicta is probably one of the strongest ones, because she can stake and then you have a guaranteed cage. Any character with a lot of CC, for example, Mirage Tornado, right, that can also be quite good. Abrams Stun. There's a lot of combos, or Haze Sleep or something like that. But yeah, Warden just combos really well into duo lane, and he also has so much pressure with his nade. Warden Kelvin or Warden Geist are also quite annoying duo matchups, because you have double nade. You don't really have to shoot your opponent, you just spam nades on them and it zones really well. Goes for extra health and basic mag, and I want to point something out here. He gets a lot of weapon damage from this. So extra health gives him bonus HP and 7% weapon damage, right? And basic mag gives him 18% extra weapon damage. If you see on the top right of the item there, it says 6% weapon damage. That is added to the 12% weapon damage that we see in the item as well. So it's 18 total. Purple items always have extra spirit. You see it in the top right there. And green items always have a bonus base HP. Yeah, this has a lot of weapon damage early on. Zoning with the flask. And now with the points in the flask that we have, you can remove their stamina, and we also do a bit more damage. So it's just a super nice tool, especially combo that into cage. If you notice your opponent rolling around a lot, just throw a flask into cage and they won't be able to escape. Slowing Hex is also a super nice item on Warden. Towards the later end of the game, we'll have a lot of movement speed with the items that we get. Also, when you have 1 point in his 2, it increases your movement speed by 20%, so it scales with all the items that you get. Combo that with an item like Slowing Hex, you can just chase whoever you want. Quicksilver reload is super nice for Warden. As you get fire rate, you put it on your 1 on your flask. You get fire rate and it also fully reload. Also, don't be scared of using your ultimate ability on bigger jungle camps. Another one that comes to mind is the basement camp that you have over here, where I have my mouse. It's mirrored on the other side, and you can also use it for the tier 3 camps. But yeah, early on, you don't get super much value out of your ultimate ability, so you might as well use it to jungle. The other basement camp is over here, where Sharik is now. So yeah, don't be scared of using it there. It can also be used as a tool in lane. Let's say you're quite low HP and there's a big wave coming in. Just pop his ultimate ability and heal yourself up. Again, no shame in pressing it early on. You do not need to wait for the perfect moment. Also, another mistake that I see a lot of Warden players do is that they just ult in the middle of a fight. Let's say you're in a 2v2, 3v3 or whatever. A lot of Warden players just stop shooting for some reason and they just pop their ult. Try to pop your ult before the fight. Do it around the corner, go into the veil, just try to do it safely. Or if you're in the middle of a fight, just keep shooting your gun. You'll end up doing more damage, and during the channel timer, the enemy team can just do so much damage to you, especially early on. When you do have your ultimate ability maxed up, you get a lot of bullet and spirit resist while you're channeling. I mean, base one is 30%, but when you have it maxed out, it will be 80%, so you're almost completely invulnerable when you channel your ult. So that's something you can think about when you have your ultimate ability maxed out. But early on, ooh, there's a black hole from Dynamo, or Lash dies. Can't really do super much to help him there. And just notice how Sharik values the wave more. I mean, a lot of players would have probably went to the Lash there in order to be the good teammate, right? But he just values the wave a little bit more. He might end up dying here from the Ivy, yeah. I mean, it is completely fine to die there. We do have a lane lead, and let's just see what happens. Our Lash is back in lane, already fighting the Shiv. Curious if he's gonna get his revenge. Goes for the ult there. He's gonna slam down onto him. And I think Shiv is going to die there, yep. Infernus is coming in though. Is Lash going to die? Sharik will be back on the Infernus. Goes for the cage. Infernus gets away with the flame dash. Gets Enduring Spirit because it builds into Slowing X later, so a lot of value and very slot efficient there, and then also goes for Mystic Reach for that ability range. Also does give you a little bit of bullet resist, so super nice. Get some spirit power going as well. Also boots on Warden are super nice too. You get so much movement speed, and then when you upgrade them, you are more resistant to slows. Really helps our chasing ability. And on Warden in general, you want to go for a lot of objective damage. I'm sure we're gonna see it later in the VOD, but you do take objectives extremely fast. You can pop your ultimate ability on it too. And he's a really, really good split pusher. The only thing you need to be mindful of that you need to have good timings. You need to be mindful of what the enemy team is doing. You need to track your opponents well on the minimap, because Warden doesn't really have an escape. Now that he has fleet footwork and is 2 upgraded, he does have a lot of movement speed, so we can run away from a lot of things. And also remember that when you have fleet footwork, you don't lose any movement speed whenever you're running. So you can be running backwards while looking at your enemy and shooting them the entire time. In a lot of cases, it's hard for the opponent to chase you, so you can kite really well as long as you're mindful of the range and you're respecting the opponent's space. Yeah, fleet footwork is just such a nice item. Also, when you pop it, you gain movement speed and temporary ammo. Your slide distance is also increased, so I like to talk about it in my videos. It's one of my absolute favorite items in the game, so you'll be hearing more from me about that item for sure in more videos. Ends up going combat barrier there as well. You get a lot of bullet shield. Remember, we get 14% HP boost, bonus, and also you have 22% weapon damage and 7% fire rate whenever the shield is up. There's a lot of value in general there. We don't go Veil Walker anymore as the item costs 6,000 souls. We need to be more efficient with our money. We need to hit our pyro spikes earlier. Some characters still build Veil Walker, but I think the item is just way too expensive now. I mean, for what you get for 6,000, it's just hard to play around. The character that used the item the most is probably Pocket, and a lot of Pockets aren't even building the item anymore. Let's see the objective damage there. I mean, you see the gun damage onto the Walker there. It's gonna parry it, so it stops shooting. Makes our minions survive. Pops the ultimate ability here. Just poking the Shiv away. I mean, the Shiv can't really contest us, and notice how fast he's just grabbing the tower there before 10 minutes. The buff is also about to spawn here, so I think he's moving back to that one while escaping. Might be hovering this area here for the buff. Remember, the buffs spawn at 10, 15, 20 every 5 minutes, and just really try to get them in your games. In most of your games here, they won't be really contested. In higher elo games, people are contesting them very, very fast. They tend to do callouts and plays around the buffs, but in most games, the buffs are on for a while, so you can for sure go for it. The first one you can skip if the lane stage is bad, but the second one at 15 minutes you can go for sure. He gets the movement one here, so his zipline speed is faster, he gains more stamina, and he gains more movement speed, so it's just a really nice item. Gets his slowing hex there, so he can pretty much pick and choose whoever he wants to chase right now. And let's see here. Pops the cage there, focuses the Ivy down. Ivy's gonna fall really, really fast. And now we're gonna chase the Yamato. Yamato dies. And remember that your slowing X is just really good against certain characters. So if you look at the enemy team here, Shiv can't press his 2 or 4. Infernus can't use his flame dash. So you're basically shutting down their main carries with slowing X. And it's a very cost efficient item. It's not that expensive. And it just does so much work against their 2 strongest characters. I mean, Shiv is not really having a super good game. But with the meta of Infernus flame dashing around everywhere, just being able to disable that for a couple of seconds is just very nice. Also rapid runs there to get a bit of extra fire rate and movement movement speed. Our movement speed is really starting to stack up. We have our boots, we have fleet, we have rapid rounds, so gonna be zooming across the map now, and whenever he presses his 2 ability, gains him a lot of movement speed there as well. And now it's just about moving the map, focusing on waves, and just really trying to get objectives wherever we can. Objectives are really the key to the game. That's how you're gonna unlock flex slots, you're gonna give global gold to your teammates, and you're just gonna progress the game instead of keeping it stale. I think Mo is going to die to the cage. There's not much he can do there. He loses stamina. He has slowing X on him. Gets caged. There's not super much in his power. Believe we have our ultimate ability maxed out now. Yes, so we have so much bullet and spirit resist. And now we can just go all in on this tower. I don't think there's much that Shiv can do, especially when we have our teammates around us. Shiv falls, and we're just gonna go for this one here. We ult into the dynamo in case of more people coming. Didn't necessarily need to ult there, but I like it as a safety precaution, because if Dynamo goes in with an ult like that onto our team, that kind of tells us that the enemy team is coming. We do end up dying there. It's completely fine. I mean, we got the tower. He's shoved the wave towards the Yamato, and I don't think that they can go for the walker here where our rate is. Our rate will be able to defend that. Also, respawn timers are quite fast, and that's another reason why you don't fight a lot in the early mid game in general. In lower mid elos, people love to fight. And kills in general don't really lead to super much in the earlier minutes of the game, because the respawn timers are quite fast. So it's more important to just mainly focus on waves and objectives, and then try to just take the fights that come to you instead. You don't necessarily have to force anything, but if there are people around you, you can make a choice, and then if you get a kill, the waves are good enough for you to grab an objective, and the game sort of flows forward in that way. By spirit armor there, also upgraded his boots for even more movement speed, so now we're super fast and we are getting quite tanky. Not super much to do on the map right now either. If you see, all the waves are in a quite good state, so you can just jungle a bit here. Warden is a very fast jungler when he gets his items going, especially when you have Quicksilver reload and fleet footwork, because then you get extra ammo when you pop fleet, and then you can also reload your weapon by throwing your flask. Your flask does have quite a big of a splash as well, especially with Mystic Reach. Another item that I quickly want to talk about is Fortitude. You get 400 bonus HP. You get so much HP off the item, and then if you don't take damage for 10 seconds, you regenerate 4% of your max HP, which just allows you to stay on the map for much longer. And then when you are above 75% HP, you gain weapon damage and movement speed. So it's just such a, first of all, it's a very slot efficient item, because it builds from extra health, but the value that you get from the item is insane. Just the fact that you can stay on the map for longer because it's constantly healing you whenever you're not taking damage, it just gives you so much value. It gives you way more value than the cost of the item. You will always be healthy. You will have so much movement speed. You can go from camp to camp. You can go from wave to wave, and you can just snowball the game with the item. It is important to build some items before it, but do consider building it at some point in your games, because it's a super good item. I do really like it on Warden. I do really like it on Mirage. Those are really good characters for Fortitude. Again, I'm not sure if Sharik's gonna build it this game, but again, it's one of the better items for Warden for sure. Going for the buff here. The timer is a bit delayed on the replay, but as you can see, he is here. He was here for the 10-minute buff. He was here for the 15-minute buff. Looks like our haze is gonna deliver the urn as well, and then we can just go back to the walker here to fix the wave. Fixing. Sitting on quite a bit of gold here, and the 3k items on Warden are very good. Most orange 3k items give him a lot of value. There's a lot of good ones. You have Pristine Emblem, you have Burst Fire, you have Hunter's Aura, you have Heroic Aura, and all of them are really good on Warden. It's really up to you to choose depending on game. Also can be a bit of personal preference. Some players like some items better than others, so it's really up to you to pick and choose. Definitely try them out, but you can't really go wrong. Again, most 3Ks are really good on Warden in general. Intensifying Mag is also one that comes to mind. Can be pretty good if you have a lot of fire rate, as it stacks up weapon damage the more you shoot. Curious what Sharik is going to do in this game now. I mean, he's sitting on 5.2k. And remember that 6k items only cost 6k now instead of 6,200. It happened in a recent patch, so they are a bit cheaper, which means that you will be hitting huge power spikes a bit earlier in your games. In general, Warden does power spike with his 3k items. Don't worry about the 6ks too much, but let's see what his body builds. Goes for Heroic Aura there, so again, really good item on Warden. You get a lot of bullet lifesteal, bonus HP, more movement speed. Also, the passive is that whenever you're close to your minions, they get fire rate, so it's really nice for split pushing. And whenever you pop it, you get fire rate and movement speed, and it's in an aura around you. So just incredible value there, and I really like that it gives you 18% bullet lifesteal. It's just really nice whenever somebody's chasing you now. So if we do get chased, you pop fleet, you pop Heroic Aura, you get all of that movement speed going. They can't really catch up to you, and you can shoot your opponent while running backwards. And if you do end up taking damage, you're just gonna heal all of that back up. Again, just a very cost-efficient item on Warden. It's such a good one. I think Heroic Aura is a bit underrated. There's not a lot of characters building it. One that comes to mind is Shiv. I've seen it on Shiv. It can be really good on him. You do a weapon damage Shiv. Upgrades his high velocity there to Pristine Emblem, which is such a good item for bursting enemies down. Whenever they are above 50% HP, they take more damage. Just a really nice way of chunking players down. Also very slot efficient because high velocity mag builds into it. There's a lot of items that are upgradable for Warden that we actually do end up using, and it's so cost efficient. We don't need to sell much stuff. He did end up selling Hollow Point Ward though. We don't really need that item right now. Basic mag and rapid rounds do a lot of work. Goes for bullet resist strategy there just to apply some bullet resistance whenever we pop any of our spirit. I mean, all of our abilities do spirit damage, so whenever we hit, we do minus 12% bullet resist, which means that it's a flat 12% damage increase for our gun. Slowing hexes in fairness there, so you can't flame dash away. It does end up having it though whenever the slowing hex runs out, so, you know, he might survive this one. Also, it's quite important to just not chase Infernus whenever he flame dashes. It does so much damage, it applies a lot of debuffs to you, so it is a bit scary chasing Infernus nowadays. Going back to protect the Walker against the Yamato here. Goes for the flask there to reload his gun, gets a lot of fire going, popping our ult there in order to heal up off the Yamato. Actually a very nice way of using the ability, because when Yamato pops her ult, it takes a little bit for it to become active, which gives us the time to pop our ult. So that's something you can consider if you're 1v1ing Yamato. Just she ults, you pop your ult on Warden, and then you'll be quite healthy, also quite tanky, so Yamato can't really burst you down. Combo that with the healing you get from the cone, from the spirit damage of your ult, with the bullet lifesteal on Heroic Aura and your movement speed. You can kind of 1v1 Yamato quite easily, especially if she's around the same net worth as you. I mean, she was 19k there, Sharik is sitting on 20k right now. And that fight just leads into the mid-boss here. There's not much the enemy team can do. Dynamo and Yamato are dead. If Dynamo and Yamato were alive, especially with Yamato ult up, I would be a bit scared. But for now, it's completely fine. Also, Kelvin ult can be insane for taking the mid-boss. If you do play with the Kelvin, they dome literally the second the Rejuvenator touches the ground. And then they can charge up a punch and cancel the dome, so the punch hits at a perfect timing. It's basically uncounterable. The only way for the enemy team to counter it is if they're in your dome and they parry on a good timing. But the nice thing about dome is you can deal with the enemies inside of it. You can kill them, then wind up a punch, cancel the dome, and then hit the rejuve. So Kelvin is really good at taking the rejuve still. We do have some nice tools on our team. I mean, we have Wraith ult to cancel someone that comes close. We have Abrams and Lash ult, and whenever Abrams maxes out his ult, that's kind of a cue. Yeah, it's actually maxed out right now. So whenever Abrams ults, he has an unstoppable in the air, and also for 3 seconds after he lands. So whenever there's an Abrams on my team, I know that the mid-boss can be quite easy to take. And if there's an Abrams on the enemy team with a maxed out ult, I'm always quite scared to take it, because better Abrams players have the timing down, and you can always see if you just hold tab and you mouse over the ability, you can see if it's maxed out. So if you are taking the mid boss and there's an Abrams on the enemy team, just quickly check if it's maxed out or not. If it's not, then you have a higher chance of taking it. It's not quite as risky. And now we're just gonna be pushing with the mid boss buff that we have. We're about to have Mo and Shiv on us, but you see the damage that we do to the Walker. I mean, even if he ends up dying here, it's completely fine. Just kites around it, just goes for the Walker. We heal so much when our ultimate is active, but I do think that he's gonna end up dying for it. I do think it's worth it though, because we focus, the enemy team come to focus us, and we can maybe do something. Actually, they won't be doing something with the urn, but that's something that they could have talked about in game. I'm not sure what the voice communication was there, but it could have been, for example, that Warden goes for the Walker, the enemy team come to focus him, he grabs the Walker while our team delivers the urn. That's something that could have happened. Obviously it didn't happen here, but we do end up getting the Walker regardless, so just really nice. Now all Walkers are down, and now we just want to find an opportunity to push the game forward. I do believe that the fight going on right now might be the key to just ending the game there. Dynamo hits a crazy ult, but there's not much follow-up from the enemy team. I think Sharik is just chasing the urn here. I mean, we can't really end the game here. If our team pushes into the enemy base, they go for the shrines and the patron, the enemy team will have an opportunity to fully respawn. So I think the value from the urn here is just good. Just might as well grab it there. Goes for a Berserker, and I think that he's probably saving up for his Frenzy. Frenzy is just such a good item right now on a lot of characters. I think the item is overlooked. I think the devs are going to tune it in a patch moving forward. But I do think that the item is a bit too strong on certain characters. You just get so many stats whenever you're below 50% HP. And there the patron is dropped, but you can see that our team can't really end the game yet as the enemy team is respawning. We do have a massive gold lead here, so I would maybe stay around, to be honest. I don't like it that everybody's leaving, Because I think if everybody was piled up together there with Lash or something like that, especially with the enemy team leaving the base right now, we could have ended the game right now. Like, if when the gold lead is this much, it's a 40k difference. I do believe that the team should just be stacking up. I mean, the patrons drop. Whenever you drop the patron and you're not sure if you can end the game, just go outside of the enemy base and just see if they do end up chasing you, if they do try to make an attempt at a comeback. If they do, you just all in turn on them. You do take the fight. You try to get some numbers going, and then you can look to end the game. He has his frenzy now. Also bought debuff reducer there. Can be quite good into some of the CC from the enemy team. Can build it into a debuff remover. Helps a lot against Infernus, for example. Can be very nice to remove the Mo disarm as well. His sand that he shoots at you. Because we are very gun oriented. If we can't shoot their gun, we can't really do that much damage. But yeah, I think the game could have ended a couple of minutes sooner. I mean, they do have such an incredible goal lead. So I think this game is definitely in our hands right now. But I do think if they stacked up after the patron dropped and the calls were a bit better, I do think this game could have ended earlier, probably around the 22-minute mark, but completely fine. I mean, they're playing it safe. They're just making sure that they do secure their win here without throwing. So I do see where they're coming from. But just watching back, that's the value of replays there. It can help your decision making a lot. So I think if any of the players would rewatch the VOD here, they would probably agree with me that the game could have ended sooner. But regardless, if you look at the timeline, the game is quite fast. Just jungling a bit here, getting a bit of gold. We can get our debuff remover if we need. We can also upgrade into a fortitude. Could be quite nice. But in general, I mean, he doesn't really need to spend money right now. He's super strong. His team is very strong. So we do not want to delay the game any longer. Looks like Dynamo gave up there. He realized he was caught. And now we can just probably start pushing into their base. I mean, the death timers are very long at this point. We're 24 minutes into the game. Probably going to end up buying. He upgrades to fortitude there. And whenever fortitude is up, we just have so much movement speed. He gets intensifying mag there. Just trying to spend his money before the game ends. But just look at the movement speed right now. It's crazy. Also has so much weapon damage, and if he does end up dipping below 50% HP when Frenzy activates, it's just gonna be over for the enemy team. I think they're just gonna look to end the game here. Heroic Aura will be popped as well. It gives our teammates fire rate around us. Also, the debuff reducer helps there a bit with the disarm. It's a bit shorter. A bit hectic right now, but I do think that the game is going to end. What is that Kelvin dome, though? Look, Shark is trapped, but yeah, the game just ends. Just a very clean Warden VOD. I do really enjoy watching Warden gameplay, so always super happy to share. And here's the post-game screen for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the video, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, take care. Bye-bye.